Sega, the brilliant game developer and publisher, creator of phenomenons such as the Sonic the Hedgehog series and the critically acclaimed Panzer Dragoon, was not in the state that it used to be in. Gone were its days of being a frontrunner in the console market, as a shell of its former self, having to play second fiddle to its old rivals. But as creators, they begrudgingly walked forward to their new future, unknowing of what the outcome could be. The same could be said of Japanese game developer Red Company. Its ever-popular Sakura Wars series was inexorably tied down to Sega's final console. The series had ended on a high note. In 10 months, the developer and its partner Overworks were able to craft a satisfying end to the story. It would make sense to leave it as it is and move on to greener pastures. But Red Company had bigger plans in store. It was time for them to conquer the world. With the Dreamcast long gone and done for, the company decided it was time for a change of pace. In 2003, Oji Hiroi, creator of Sakura Wars and Red Company, announced the Sakura Taisen World Project, a crazy plan that seemed like it just might work. Starting from the ground up with its former competitor's PlayStation 2, the plan was to create 6 brand new titles to take advantage of the new and better hardware, comprising of a remake and several new side additions to add to the mythos. If these brand new reiterations sold enough, Sega would finally shell out the money to finally bring the series to Western shores. Much was riding on the success of these new releases, but fans wouldn't have to wait long for the project to begin, as not a year later, the remake to the one that started it all came about. Unlike in the past, where the original was ported over in its Sega Saturn state, this time everything was built from the ground up with the series' latest innovations. Sakura Wars in Hot Blood did away with the cramped box that contained the series' famous art, and in its place was the full-frame art that had been introduced in previous entries. The game looked beautiful, but how did it play? The ARMS system that was introduced in Sakura Wars 3 makes its triumphant return, with a new paint job to become the definitive way to play Sakura Wars. While the combat never changed, the gameplay and story surrounding it was twisted in a unique way. The plot was the same as ever, with the beloved characters and dialogue fans had come to love. A new chapter and a new romance option made the original more diverse and long form than ever before. And last but not least is the lip system. Taking advantage of what had been introduced before it, such as the classic multiple options and point and click sections, it seemed nothing had changed, but one small part had. A new innovation for its time, QuickTime events became an integral part to the remake. The new quirks and nostalgia the title contained made it the defining entry in the series at large, one that would judge those who came after it, and those would come soon enough. The first that came after was a side edition that contributed to the Paris storyline. Sakura Wars Monogatari, or Mysterious Paris, was the beginning of a very different set of spin-offs, ones that would expand on the story instead of the franchise itself. Taking place right after Sakura Wars 4, the game follows Detective Korichiro Akechi and his sister Miki as they work with the old Parasanagumi to unravel the mysterious disappearances of several Chat Noir performers. Foregoing tactical combat entirely, the title would focus solely on lips-based dialogue choices and a few new tricks. As you go along your journey and use the lips system, at times you may fail. Fail them enough and it's game over, making your choices more important than ever before. Combat is still very much a part of this entry, with first-person dungeon crawling and rudimentary shooting sequences to spice things up. Compared to past spin-offs, it's surprisingly well put together given its peripheral status. Initially, a Tokyo counterpart was meant to be developed alongside this entry, but the game has since never materialized. Alongside this, a port, not a remake, of Sakura Wars 3 was released on the PlayStation 2 with all its bells and whistles intact. The animation department stayed intact too, although never reaching the same heights that the film and TV series had set ever again. 3 one-off OVAs were released during this period, First off was Sumire, a single episode meant to commemorate the retirement of Sumire's voice actor Michi Tamizawa. Taking place after Sakura Wars 4, Sumire soon discovers she's losing her spiritual powers and must put on one final performance before she leaves the Hanagumi. After that came 2 Sakura Wars 3 OVA tie-ins, Ecolo de Paris and Le Nouveau Paris, releasing in 2003 and 2005 respectively. Each tells side stories about the various relationships between the Paris Hanagumi, from how Glycine and Erica met, how Lobelia was captured and put in prison, and who truly is captain of Groupe Fleur de Paris. While having a different feel in the animation and writing departments, the 3 counterparts stood up well compared to previous iterations. Another interesting jump into another medium came with the Sakura Wars manga, coinciding with the release of Sakura Wars in Hot Blood and created by the creator of Sakura Wars, Oji Hiroi himself. The story would mostly take pointers from the original game, but with a multitude of elements added in from other Sakura Wars properties. Kayama from Sakura Wars 2, characters from the stage shows, character designs from In Hot Blood, and so on, was also used to craft a new story that appealed to old fans and new readers alike. But all wasn't well on the home front. Sales from the new entries significantly dipped compared to their Sega Saturn and Dreamcast heights, putting Red Company in a perilous situation. If Sakura Wars could no longer sell in the East, how could it possibly stand a chance in the West? In a last-ditch effort, the company hurried along 2 new games, a spin-off, and possibly the final entry in the franchise, Sakura Wars 5. In anticipation of this newly announced sequel, a tie-in was created, starring the titular yet unknown character of Sakura Wars 5, Gemini Sunrise. The game would try to take the series' roots and firmly plant them in another genre, hack and slash. The story would follow Gemini, the klutzy samurai, on her journey from her homeland of Texas to find her destiny in New York under her master's orders. But as all main female protagonists of the series are, her ditziness sends her in the opposite direction of San Francisco, where she gets wrapped up in trying to protect a girl named Juanita from antagonists from Sakura Wars, the movie. All of this takes place on a curiously botched map, where Illinois is in Missouri and Tennessee is in Minnesota. The primary gameplay revolves around the classic lip system, but also Dynasty Warriors-esque combat. Controlling Gemini on her trusty horse Rally, the player runs around set arenas, battling robots with Gemini's trusty katana. Unfortunately, this title is held back by many things. An extremely brief developmental cycle left it in a poor state. Unnatural controls, mediocre hack-and-slash gameplay, and Gemini yelling ad nauseum left us to be the black sheep of the entire franchise. Sakura Wars Episode 0, Samurai Girl of the West, lacked the charm and charisma of the franchise in all the wrong places. But not letting that get them down, Red Company continue onward towards the next entry. And what a great game that waited for the masses. But what would it be? A reboot or a continuation? It turns out it was more of a combination of the two. Considering how Sakura Wars 4 cleanly wrapped up the Tokyo and Paris storylines, and especially with the stepping down of Sumire's voice actress, Michi Tamizawa, any new game would need to take on a completely different setting and a new cast of characters, changing everything we know about the series. But as always, a new title had to be chosen. Foregoing numbers for Roman numerals, Sakura Wars 5 Saraba Itoshiki Hitoyo, or Farewell My Love, is based off of the 1940 American crime novel, Farewell My Lovely. Having less to do with the meaning of the title and more to deal with what it said, Farewell My Love turned out to be a deadly premonition for the future. But as they say, the show must go on, and thus, in keeping with the Sakura Wars World Project theme, Sakura Wars 5 brings in a brand new main character, someone who is significantly different from the original protagonist. Shinjiro Taiga, Ogami's happy-go-lucky nephew, is sent off to New York to command their brand new combat review. But unlike Ogami, Shinjiro has to earn his keep at the New York combat review. Compared to the original's warm and whimsical opening, everyone except a few are as cold and harsh as they could be. This kind of storytelling echoes the old American dream, picking yourself up from the bootstraps and getting back to work. And as the story goes on, Shinjiro proves they can be as life-changing and influential as his uncle was before him. growing into a character that is worthy of the protagonist's mantle in many similar and unique ways. This mixture of Sakura Wars 1 and 3 storytelling made for an interesting concoction. One that is familiar, yet can stand on its own. The plot also takes its own unique dips and twists, involving a certain historical figure, Oda Nobunaga. Even though they can be cold at times, Shinjiro has plenty of allies on its side. The klutzy samurai Gemini, the law-abiding Sagita, the gun-toting Rikurita, the destiny-bound Diana, and the mysterious Subaru round out this new Star Division, or Hoshigumi. While 13 other heroes have represented the franchise for nearly a decade, these 6 new ones proved to be as imaginative and original as the rest. Combat and lips are also as imaginative as ever. Essentially a new game based on Sakura Wars and Hot Blood's new technology, Sakura Wars 5 was still innovative in its own right. The iconic Kobu is out in favor of the brand new Star unit. These still behave similar to the Kobu, but have the added functionality of turning into jets, allowing them to take to the skies for boss battles and other opportunities. This novel approach to combat changed the series' trademark boss battles, which mostly consisted of hitting the boss until it was defeated, into tactful and puzzle-filled segments. Other additions came with joint attacks, more advanced versions of the series' staple double attacks. There are also several other revamps to the adventure mode. Gone are the 2.5D point-and-click Grand Imperial Theaters and Paris, and in their place is a fully three-dimensional version of New York that you can walk around and interact with. Events pop up right in the middle of the street, and now there are multiple places you can go to, such as Central Park and Harlem. The lip system has also been overhauled significantly, with streamlined portraits in high definition that have a range of expressions. QuickTime lips has also been further extended, simulating Shinjiro walking, running, or even a sword battle or two. The Kinematron has also been upgraded to the Cameratron, allowing you to take photos that can further advance the story or bring about a laugh or two. Even series favorite Kayama is along for the ride, with his Ramondo shop sort of being an in-game tribute to the ever-popular Taisho Ramondo in Japan. The new cast, story, and innovations seemed like it would help propel the series past the tough times it was in. But was that the reality, or were they just kidding themselves? Unfortunately, this was not the case. Even with a larger base of operations on the PlayStation 2, the Sakura Wars franchise seemed to be on its deathbed, selling a measly 150,000 units, nearly 1/5 of what the original earned. It was a true death knell for the series at large. As the world continued to advance toward a long-form RPG and first-person shooter future, Sakura Wars was just left in the dust. A series about mechas, demons, and romance just couldn't compete in these modern times. But was this the case? Was the main franchise truly over, or was there hope on the horizon? The finale of the Sakura Wars series is a divisive sort. Some would say it lacks the magic of the Ogami storyline. The wondrous 13 characters of Sakura, Sumire, Iris, Maria, Koran, Kana, Orihime, Reni, Erika, Glycine, Kokoko, Lobelia, Hanabi, and our ever-lovable protagonist, Ogami, had come to define the Sakura Wars franchise, so to add on to that seemed a bit much. For the world this was made for, the outrageously stereotypical characters and Japanese view on America are partially amusing, but more often than not, off-putting. But it is how these characters break out of these stereotypical shells that has come to define the Sakura Wars series, and Sakura Wars 5 is no different. Even within the apparent death of the franchise, it still seemed it had some life left in it. But where could they go from here? Tune in next time to find out about the legacy of the franchise, and more. Well, hello my fellow Naganeers, and thanks for watching another episode of Blossom. While this is the true end of the main franchise of the Sakura Wars brand, the Sakura Wars brand continues on. And next episode we'll be taking a look at where the Sakura Wars brand is today, how it has affected various video game franchises and the game industry as a whole. It's a long one, guys, so don't panic if it doesn't come out on time. Anyway, make sure to subscribe to me, Noggin, catch up on the series with the playlist, subscribe to my other channel for all the Sakura Wars content you could want. Click the GIF for a walkthrough of Sakura Wars 5 that may or may not have started, and that's about it. Keep being awesome, viewer, and continue the thirst for knowledge.